Hi everyone and welcome to a Theme Park Worldwide news update. There's only 5 days to go until the official opening day of The Curse at Alton Manor, the new dark ride at Alton Towers, a complete transformation of Jewel the Haunted House Strikes Back. And here at Theme Park Worldwide, we've been really excited about this project ever since we first heard about it last year. Of course, we shared them rumblings that we got last year that something was going to be happening to Jewel, and then of course the attraction closed after the summer holidays for this huge transformation. Over winter, not much has really been revealed by Alton Towers about what's going on inside that building, and that's the thing with the dark ride. These things are so hidden, you can't see anything unless the park release things. And yeah, it's been pretty quiet. Obviously last month we went down to London, we were invited by Alton Towers to go and see a ginormous doll's house, bit of a teaser to the storyline, bit more about Emily Alton, who this ride is based around, and it was absolutely fantastic. We really enjoyed it. And since then, there's not really been more information until these past kind of 48 hours. Starting off with an update to the story, with more information put on the Alton Towers website. And then just a couple of hours ago today, Alton Towers have released lots of different photos to the press from inside The Curse at Alton Manor, revealing a first look at some of the scenes and props inside the ride. And I've got to say, I'm pretty impressed with what we've seen so far from this. We've been telling you all along, this is a huge transformation, and you're really going to see that when you see these images, and of course from Saturday when the ride opens, the 18th of March. But firstly, let's delve a bit more into the storyline, because yeah, this has been updated a couple of days ago on the Alton Towers website, so I'm just going to read that now straight from the website for you. Repossessed under mysterious circumstances, you, the visitors, are now invited inside. Between towering trees in ancient woodland, past by the many gravestones within gloomy wood, as you prepare to step into the Gothic home, steeped in dark history. Laid in rest for over a century, its foreboding exterior draws you inside. But be careful, an evil within is now awakening. Oh, I love that. And of course, that's also confirmation that the area will be remaining as Gloomy Wood. It's been that since 1992, when the original haunted house opened, and it's stayed that for Jewel, it's staying that for its third reincarnation as The Curse at Alton Manor. Now, of course, the ride is all based around Emily Alton. You could see her in a doll's house ever since the haunted house opened, down there with a little cat in the queue line. And yeah, now they've elaborated on that with the full storyline to this ride, and that's why we've seen the doll's house and yeah, this creepy girl and all the imagery. And yeah, we've got a bit more information about Emily just here now. Left alone in the attic with nothing but a doll's house to keep this quiet but curious girl amused, Emily becomes lonely and forgotten, with nothing but the sound of music and laughter of the parties hosted by her parents to the high of society, echoing through the floors from the grand hall below. Her hatred grew, fueled by frustration and bitterness. Dark forces began to surround Emily, becoming a vessel for evil that has steeped into every corner of the manor. I've got to say, I am loving how much effort Alton Towers have put into the storyline. Of course, Merlin magic making. This is a really exciting project, and it's so nice to see an original storyline and not IP based as well. Obviously, there's a lot of rumours and speculation that Alton Towers and Merlin could have gone down the IP route with this, bringing in an intellectual property like Ghostbusters, for example. In fact, Merlin have worked with them in the past at Heide Park in Germany, one of their other theme parks. So there was certainly a chance that that could have happened. And we spoke with John Burton down at Chessington a few weeks ago about World of Jumanji. He works for Merlin Magic Making, he's one of their lead creatives, and of course he's been working on World of Jumanji, The Curse at Alton Manor, Project Exodus at Thorpe Park, and quite a lot of the projects that are up and coming. And he openly said, that IPs were considered for this as well, but in the end they went for an original storyline, which I am really pleased about. And the fact they're using Emily from the queue line that we've seen for all these years and kind of making that story, why was she there? We never really knew. Now with that in-depth report, we kind of know exactly what Emily was doing there and that she was getting frustrated over all these years. So yeah, great storyline building it up. Of course, we've got these new images. From this point on, of course, there will be spoilers from inside the attraction. If you don't want to see some of the scenes, then I'd recommend not watching past this point. But if you do want to see it, let's talk about the images, starting off with this one just here. Oh wow, so we've got this big doll's house just here. Now, trying to work out where this is inside the ride, because obviously we know some of the existing props and scenes have stayed, but others haven't. And what's quite interesting with this, I'm thinking it's maybe in the latter part of the ride, maybe the second half of the ride. You've got to think the whole finale, so to speak, them last few scenes in the ride were all kind of zombie themed. We know that zombies aren't really part of this attraction now. They've gone, that they were with Jewel, they've kind of left. We saw all the zombies being removed over winter in skips out the back. So yeah, we know they're not really part of it. So maybe this has been built to the latter part of the ride, possibly. It's quite hard to tell really, but yeah, we've got this ginormous doll's house that looks fantastic, of course, with the same style as what we saw down in London. You can also see the ride system actually passing underneath it there in the middle. If you look, you can just see the track for the actual ride system. That hasn't been changed, however, I believe they've updated some of the ride system, of course, so it can survive for longer in the future. You know, it's an old ride system, so they really need to spend the money on that as well. It's been operating since 1992, built by Mack Rides, so yeah, they've put the money into that, of course, to keep that going for this ride's longevity, because it's going to be around for a long time. Alton Towers put a lot of time and effort into this. Now, along with that, you can see, of course, the large version of the house, but if you look on the top floor, you've actually got the little model of the house there as well, so it's like the big house in the small house, which I do really like. Yeah, the small house in the big house, there you go. Getting it all mixed up, which I do think is really cool. I like that effect that they've got just there. And then, of course, yeah, let's move on to the next image just here. A very recognisable room just here, thanks to that pillar that we can see, that column. I like how they're zoomed in on it to not give too much away, but that is definitely the banqueting hall. We know that scene's staying. In fact, it's been used a lot during the promotional images with Emily herself. And yeah, as you can see, we've got this table in there now. A couple of skeletons on there, having some food. We've got some food going on the table. There's fruit and that sort of thing. Some candles and drapes in the background. That was always a great scene anyway. We know that's quite early on in the ride. We're not expecting that to have moved or anything like that. That's really the second scene in the ride after you come round that first corner and the moving walls. Interesting to see if they're still going to be in. And then you come round to the right. You were greeted by that bus that came towards you, and then you're in the banqueting room. But yeah, that looks like it stayed very similar. It was a great scene anyway. I'd imagine we've seen some changes to the effects in there, but I'll go more onto effects in just a moment. But yeah, that looks really nice, what we can see there. Very high quality, giving me kind of Haunted Mansion, Phantom Manor vibes from the Disney parks. On to the third image out of 5 that we've got then. Look at this, inside the attic of the doll's house, it looks like. Starting off with all the wooden beams, I mean, that looks fantastic. Maybe this again is towards the end of the ride, but that looks awesome and quite creepy with the doll that's just hanging there as well. Obviously the height restriction for this is 0.9 still if accompanied, and also as well, there's no age restriction being released. So yeah, it's quite interesting. Some of the scenes look quite dark, especially in the next image that I'll show you in a moment. But yeah, what I really like with here is how that sign on the left, I'm pretty sure that's the one that was at the exit when they first teased that Jewel was going to be closing. If you remember, you'd walk down the exit ramp and it was on the wall. I'm pretty sure that is that sign, and then they've put some different writing on there, which looks fantastic. But yeah, that scene looks to be my favourite so far there. I like that a lot. What they've done with all the roof, I think that looks great. Loads of cobwebs in there to make it look old and not too new. Very highly detailed. And if this is the standard what we're seeing throughout this whole attraction, I think we're in for a surprise. These are just a few images of a whole dark ride. It's a big space. We know that some elements from the old rides are going to have remained, and we've not really seen them too much. So I can't wait to see it all together and how they've kind of mixed in some of the older elements with these new scenes, and then with special effects along the way as well. Alright, let's move on to the fourth image just here. And wow, this is full of ride references. I think we're probably inside the doll's house now, because everything's large, if you like. Everything's really big scale just here, like we've been shrunk down a little bit. Kind of like the Ratatouille effect if you've been on that at the Disney parks. But yeah, look at this. Like on the left, you've got a box there that says Wild Mouse on it. You've got the box on the right just there that says UGG products. I like that little reference to Uggland. Corkscrew on there as well, which is really nice to see. Nice little reference to the ride that started it all. I mean, there's a big reference to the corkscrew at the entrance to the park, but yeah, I like that a lot. And then of course, yeah, you've got quite a graphic scene there in the middle, like, as you can see with the body that's been wrapped over with all the ropes. Yeah, quite dark. I think that sets the tone that, you know, if you've got little ones that are going to be having nightmares, probably don't take them on this. Or, you know, it looks like it's going to be quite intense. You imagine being in the zone with special effects like fog, projection mapping, audio, then yeah, I think this is going to be a real interesting experience. I think it's going to be quite scary actually, especially for the little ones. But yeah, loads of Easter eggs, loads of ride references, past and present, which I really like in there. Let's move on to the fifth and final image, and again, lots going on. Emily's dream house there on the left. Looks like he's trying to burn it though, because there's giant matchsticks just there as well, matchboxes. There's a reference to Blade on the box just there, of course. Is that a sign that Blade's up for the chop at some point in the future? Because they've put a reference in here to it. Along with that, you've got a big saw on the right-hand side there. Is that a reference to Ripsaw? Possibly, it looks like it might be. Along with that as well, you've got the Doll's House Company at Talbot Street there. Of course, the old area that's now the world of David Walliams, and it became Cred Street, the land of make-believe, and yeah, that was up there. Obviously, Toyland Tours was there as well, so maybe there's a bit of a reference there as well. Doom and Sons, one of the original haunted attractions at Alton Towers back in the day, a walkthrough they had. So yeah, that's full of references as well. But again, this looks like it's maybe inside the doll's house. From what I'm thinking is, a lot of the scenes look a bit more kind of, you know, realistic, should I say, before the doll's house. And then you go into this, and then everything's a bit kind of playful and colourful, giant props, that sort of thing. Like it's Emily gone a bit crazy, a bit mad. So yeah, it looks fantastic. I'm really liking what we're seeing here. Can't wait for Saturday. 5 sleeps to go. I'm so excited. And yeah, of course, we're going to be discovering the curse at Alton Manor. I don't think they're going to be allowing any on-ride filming with this, even though they've released these images. I think they're going to want to keep the full thing a surprise, which is understandable. On-ride filming wasn't allowed on Jewel anyway. So yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to POV, sadly, but it means you're going to have to go there and see it. However, I think we're in for a treat with this. I think it's going to be fantastic. In terms of audio and effects, we've heard quite a few things. We've heard that the audio is really good, and it's kind of going to follow you throughout some of the scenes, which I like the sound of. Yeah, you're going to go through, you're going to hear like whispers coming, a bit like the old, "Are you scared of spiders?" if you remember that. It kind of follow you a bit through the scene, so kind of like that, but I'd imagine it'll be done better now, because audio is amazing what they can do now. I mean, Wicker Man's pre-show is a sign of that. I love that, especially, you know, how it follows you around the room. And then of course we know there's lots of state-of-the-art projections. These scenes look great, but for all we know, there could be projection mapped on there, all the show lighting might not be in, and that's the thing, by Saturday, the whole thing might not be 100% complete in terms of, you know, there might still be little changes to make until people go on there and give feedback. Dark rides take time. A coaster, you know you've got it right from the off. Dark rides, there's so much that can change to set the ambience. So I'm sure Alton Towers are going to be taking feedback, and we're going to probably see things change over the course of a few months probably, as they're kind of moving things around and seeing, yeah, that light needs changing or that needs moving. But yeah, I'm really excited for this. Cannot wait for Saturday. We'll have a full video on the way, of course, sharing our review at the weekend as well. And let me know your thoughts. The Curse at Alton Manor, first look inside, new for 2023 at the Alton Towers Resort. So there we go. Fantastic, it really is. Really excited for this one. But there we go. That leaves me with one final thing to say. Get out there and keep on riding. We'll see you in the next video.